host for tonight's webinar. We've got a very, very exciting webinar for you tonight. Lots of new information, a couple of great announcements. We will be going over some of the material you may have seen before, but there'll also be some new material. And so we'll try and keep it moving fast. I've got a lot to get through, so I'm going to get on with it. Just for your own information, as I said, I'm the president of the company. The company is owned by Dr. Ruja Inyatova, and we'll be going through her bio very shortly. I've been involved in network marketing myself now since 1985. That makes 29 years. I'm a 29-year veteran in this industry, and I'm sure some of you on the call tonight have also got a lot of experience in this industry, and because it's exciting to see the number of really high caliber leaders who are joining us in this pre-launch period. But the thing is, you know, if you've been around the industry for a period of time, as I have and some of you have, you know, it's likely that you've been involved in more than one different type of product. I mean, cryptocurrency is totally new for me, as it probably is for you. Raphael, there you go, 23 years from Ghana. I didn't even know they had network marketing in Ghana 23 years ago, so it just shows you how much you learn. But, you know, cryptocurrency is new for me. Before this, I was involved in various other projects, some environmental projects, and I've been involved in skincare and nutritional supplements, health products, jewelry, you name it. You know, that just goes with the territory when you're experienced in this industry. But I have to tell you, the OneCoin concept, the OneCoin project is really the tip of the iceberg, the cream on the cake rather, for me. It's the most exciting thing I've really ever come across, because it really checks all the boxes. It answers all the questions for me. Not only is it totally virtual, it's totally legitimate, totally real, and totally legal, which is, they don't often go hand in hand, as you may have come across in other opportunities. Let me go through this, and I'm going to attempt to answer your questions and give you a really good overview of where we are with OneCoin. Okay, so firstly, we all want to ask these same questions when we look at any kind of company. When you're evaluating a company, you want to ask yourself these kinds of things. Well, what is it? You know, what is OneCoin all about? You also want to know who is behind it. It might be a great idea, but you know, the person who is controlling it, do they have what it takes? Do they have the necessary knowledge, experience, caliber? Are they the right caliber of person to actually take it to the top? Is it legal? Is it something that I'm going to do and regret? Or is it real? Is it something where there's actually a product or service that people who are not part of the network are willing to pay for? For me, that's an acid test of whether an opportunity is legitimate, personally. Then I'll say to myself, well, how do I make money? Well, actually, with OneCoin, as you'll find out, we actually have two opportunities. We have both a cash flow and income opportunity, which is our network, building your team. We also have a capital growth, capital gains, or asset opportunity. You know, most MLM companies offer you an opportunity, if they're good companies, to make a lot of money, and that's, you know, good cash flow and good income. But very few of them give you an opportunity to build real wealth. And frankly, when you look around you at the people who are known to be wealthy in the world, they usually have assets, and assets are really what it's all about. So with OneCoin, you actually get an opportunity to build a real asset that can yield dividends for many, many years to come. Then I'd say to myself, well, is it simple? I mean, it's great if it answers all the other questions, but can I do it? Can my next door neighbor do it? Can my cousin do it? And when you have a look at our compensation plan and our concept, you'll realize it's actually very simple, but it's very fair and very lucrative. If so, then what's my strategy? What's my short-term strategy? What's my medium and long-term strategy? Do I want to make some quick money and exit, or do I have a longer-term strategy? Either way, I still need to know what my exit is. How do I get out of this and get all the money that's owed me? So what is OneCoin? Well, it's a new type of cryptocurrency. If you've never heard that term before, basically it's a digitally created currency based upon advanced mathematical algorithms. It's basically a computer code or a formula. And this formula, this algorithm, has a fixed number of outcomes, solutions, or in our case, coins. In our case, we are actually able to produce or mine 2.1 billion coins according to our mathematical formula. Bitcoin, which is the one most people have heard of, which was the first one, was only able to produce 21 million coins. And as you'll see shortly, that is partly why Bitcoin has had one or two bumps in the road along the way. Now, OneCoin, by the way, is not a pre-mined currency. We didn't go out and mint or mine a lot of coins and then say, okay, we're going to go and sell them to members or the public. We're actually giving the opportunity, the exclusive worldwide rights to mine the coins to our members. In fact, I prefer to call them, or call you, miners. We are building a network of miners, and it's the miners who will create the market and mine the coins. Therefore, you keep the lion's share of the profits yourselves, rather than buying them from someone else and paying a markup. The plan's highly lucrative and also very simple. As you'll see, you know, we haven't tried to reinvent the wheel. In my opinion, that's always a mistake with compensation plans, with companies. They come out with complicated plans, and people then have to spend hours or days learning the plan when they could actually be out making money. So we've kept the plan really simple and something that doesn't need a lot of learning or relearning. How do you know it's real? Well, one way of knowing that is it will be traded on a public exchange. In other words, that means that there will be people outside of the network who will be willing to exchange money or value for the OneCoin. For me, that is an acid test of whether a product or a commodity is a genuine one. We say it can become the next successful cryptocurrency, and you're going to see why in a second. Firstly, let me just give you a snapshot of the Bitcoin story. Bitcoin now started in January 2009. That's about nearly 6 years ago. When the first Bitcoins were mined, they came off the mining, it's called the Genesis block. The first ones that were mined were sold on the market at 10 cents, that's dollars, 10 US dollar cents each. Within less than 2.5 years, by May 11th, that had risen to $35 each. Well, 10 cents to $35 means it's gone up by 350 times, okay? I do not know any opportunity, any product, any service, any investment, stocks, shares, property, you name it, a legitimate investment that can give you 350 times your money in less than 2.5 years. But it didn't stop there. In fact, by about this time last year, it risen to over $1,200 in value per coin, $1,200 per Bitcoin. It has since come down a bit, and the market's dropped and stabilized, and there are reasons for that. I'm not going to go into huge detail on that tonight. But you have to know this. Bitcoin is now nearly 6 years old. They've mined about 50% of the coins which are available. It has a market capitalization at the moment of the $3 to $4 billion range. And that's simply multiplying the number of coins that have been mined by their street value, so to speak. Okay, so that's the Bitcoin story. Either way, it's a phenomenal story, and it is really the darling of the investment industry at the moment. You know, there really isn't anything better to put your money into than cryptocurrency. And here's a very simple reason for that. Because it's based upon strict, very strict mathematical principles and formulas. A cryptocurrency, a legitimate one, and you have to be careful, there are some fakes out there as well, and you know, things that aren't real, and there are ways of telling. But a real cryptocurrency is based upon strict mathematical formulas and principles, and is limited to a fixed number of units or coins they can produce. As I said, in our case, it's 2.1 billion. What's the reason for that? What's the benefit of that? Well, one of the benefits of that, the obvious benefit, is since you can't produce any more of them, you cannot produce inflation. You cannot create inflation. Therefore, you cannot devalue it. This is what the governments of the world do with our money every day in the fiat currencies. You know, in the US, they have the US dollar, and in your country, you might have the euro or whatever. And the central banks, when they get into difficulties, simply just print more of them. But really what they're doing is by flooding the market with more dollars and more euros, they're actually devaluing what everybody already has because they're diluting it. That cannot happen with a cryptocurrency. This is actually the first recorded offline Bitcoin transaction. In 2010, a man bought a pizza for 10,000 Bitcoins. In other words, I guess and this is a true story, the pizza owner, the pizza shop or pizza restaurant owner probably didn't know what Bitcoins were worth. He said, well, look, I'll only give you a pizza if you give me 10,000 of them. Well, that was worth a few weeks ago over $7 million actually. Since the price readjustment is probably down to about, say, $4 or $5 million. Either way, it's still the most expensive pizza in the world. Do not make that mistake, is all I can advise you, of using and spending your OneCoins too early before you really realize the capital gains. Why is OneCoin better than Bitcoin? Everyone's talking about Bitcoin because it's the most well-known. OneCoin is the new kid on the block. Why is it better? Well, number one, it has a more advanced algorithm, more advanced formula, so to speak, more security amongst other things, and of course we can produce 2.1 billion coins. Having a smaller denomination actually makes the coin more usable. See, 2.1 billion coins means that it's unlikely or less likely that any individual coin will reach up to 1,200 US dollars in value. It may more likely reach up to, say, $120 in value per unit, which means that it's actually much more accessible and usable as a currency, a real currency for many people. We also have the One Exchange, which is our own internal trading platform, which will eventually become the external and public platform when we go public with this. The One Exchange is a centralized trading environment, so that produces higher liquidity and less volatility. One of the problems with Bitcoin is that there are many different exchanges where you can go and buy and sell Bitcoins, and they all seem to be doing it at different prices. Well, of course, that's crazy for trying to keep a commodity or a currency stable, and that is one of the downsides of the decentralized approach of the Bitcoin model. Ours is a much more centralized approach, and in fact, we have a dedicated management team responsible for the strategy, responsible for attracting merchants and building the OneCoin brand. Yes, we will be attracting merchants over the course of the next year. Companies and businesses who will accept the OneCoin as a currency if you wish to pay with that. As I say, in my own opinion, I would hold on to it. The other thing about it is that the OneCoin is mined in mining pools, so you're not going to need very expensive servers and hardware to start finding and mining the coins. This is the case right now with Bitcoin. Bitcoin, as I said, they mined about half the coins, and in the beginning, it's easy to mine coins. You can find a lot of them quickly, and they're cheap. As you get increasingly find more and more, it gets increasingly harder to find the rest of them. And of course, the price goes up because the resources, the cost of producing or minting them or mining them increases proportionately. So you will be mining the coins in mining pools coordinated by the company, by OneCoin itself. And of course, OneCoin is at an early stage. That means it's very interesting for investors. Why would you want to join, get involved in trying to make money out of Bitcoin, which really is already peaked, it's already very mature. The opportunity is really over. It's still a viable and valid currency, of course, but really, wouldn't you rather be in at the beginning of something that you know is going to grow? And another thing, as you can see here, OneCoin uses KYC procedures. Now, KYC stands for Know Your Customer. These are the Know Your Customer rules that every bank must follow around the world nowadays when it comes to finances to prevent money laundering. You see, Bitcoin, being anonymous, had some problems because people were using it through various channels on the internet to buy drugs and weapons and so on. This cannot happen with OneCoin because of KYC. We know exactly who owns which coin. And the reason, the value there, in my opinion, as well, is that I believe that that's going to make it much more attractive and viable for merchants and vendors to start using and accepting the OneCoin as a legitimate means of transferring value. Now, this question came up earlier today, and I think it's an excellent question. That's why we made a slide about it. One of our members in the United Arab Emirates sent a question into support. because he was getting questions about how secure is OneCoin, because you might hear some scare stories about people losing their Bitcoins for whatever reason. Well, let's explain that. In terms of security, the OneCoin is extremely secure. Firstly, the coins and the tokens cannot disappear as they could with Bitcoin, and the reasons are threefold. Number one, we have a centralized database. With our clients' encrypted e-wallets and accounts, we back up this database several times per hour. Bitcoin does not have a centralized database like this, so whoever gets your keys can hack and steal your coins. So if you're keeping your coin, which is your basically computer codes, stored on your laptop and someone can hack them, you can lose your coins because there's no way of tracing those. However, we can track all transactions, and even if there was a crash, the coins wouldn't disappear as we back up all the time. The coins also do not currently leave the e-wallets. They're transferred internally in the system. Later on, of course, they will be used externally. But if someone hacks your account, we can track immediately who did it and restore the balance. And lastly, before the money leaves the system, there are different checks and balances to be made, which is, of course, the KYC procedure. So if someone steals your money and they're able to try and transfer it out of the system, they have to provide bank account details and so on. So in other words, it's a very, very secure cryptocurrency. Let's look at the facts here. OneCoin is a brand new cryptocurrency with a new modern algorithm, more advanced than the Bitcoin one. The Bitcoin one is already 6 years old. That's like driving a car with 6-year-old technology versus a brand new car today. Which would you rather be in? Many people want to know who is behind the company. That's very important. Well, firstly, you need to know that I'm the president of the company. My name is Nigel Allen. I do not own the company. I was very fortunate to be hired by Dr. Ruja Inyatova, who is our owner and founder, and frankly, a brilliant academic and brilliant businesswoman. And I'm very thrilled to be in this position to be able to help bring this message to you in the field. Dr. Ruja, and I'm going to just skip over some bullet points here, just so you know, she is a qualified lawyer. She actually has a master's degree in law from Oxford University. She has a master's degree in economics from Constance University, and also a PhD in law in European business law from Oxford and Constance. After she finished her studies, she actually became one of the youngest partners ever with McKinsey & Company, which is one of the most prominent management consultancies in the world, like Arthur Andersen, PwC, and so McKinsey & Company. And when she was there, of course, she was working in corporate banking, private equity, asset management, risk management, and so on. This is, can you hear me? Has the sound gone? Let me know if you can hear me. You can hear me. Okay. Someone was saying they couldn't hear. Okay, I'll carry on. She's also a former CEO and CFO of one of the biggest asset management funds in Bulgaria, a highly qualified woman, all the time achieving all of this before the age of 34. At McKinsey, she worked with Sberbank, Unicredit, Allianz, Raiffeisen, so she has a huge and deep